I'm going to look down. Is that all right?
Yeah, it's okay.
I don't know if it's a gift or what. Like Christmas, I know during life you never really do know what you want. Grace is not a gift bestowed without the luminous presence of God near us or within us, going through narrow paths of learning better, drawing a creature to develop insight on the compulsion of the endless motion of love. Where following morality of angels isn't obedience. Sorry. Here we go. Sorry, I'll just take a step. Okay, let me start again.
Yeah, no.
Where following morality of angels isn't obedience, not even divided freedom, but something pure, from a cosmic reconfiguration of a person's soul. It was a light that had never been, an ontological incineration birthing heavenly knowledge. God going beyond humans, an illicit freedom, behind the curtain, behind the veil, behind the dark. Adam was stuck in the throat, burden of sin on the back. Paradise has never been around. I'm always in constant fascination with the evil around me. I ran not like one fleeting from fire, that I could hear them screaming in their hurt, but like it wasn't afraid of the light. I'm not afraid of being seen in the light, coming across it quicker to each step in a heavy path faith. I'll start that again. Yeah. I'm not afraid of being seen in the light, coming across it quicker to each step in a heavy path faster. Evil didn't chase me with horns and fangs, growling, throbbing sexual thrusts. It whispered, disguised at a voice at times, sometimes soft and full of grace. Hands outstretched not for a sword, stepping into the holiness is sweeter than being a virgin. But that evil, with children and anybody else inside. I saw figures that spooked me so suddenly, lighting the fire. Both sides rival to expand their side. Over thousands, more than that. Various different notions of what truth is, all in a movement of strong eagerness. And truth be told, who knows when one is behind a veil? Evil could be anything, but it isn't just emotion or intent. I doubt that evil can remain in a framework, nor is it restrictive to try and destroy another moral framework. All-seeing eyes are always paying attention to everything, to everyone else. Their eyes are all expressive, because they only can amend their soul to the length of where they see. But it's another expression of coming out of exile. People are often the starting point of evil. It's like the definition of love. Angels themselves cannot hold love. Evil in people, I'm sure at times can be misunderstood. Is it them? Is it them? Are they opposing good, or the good at what they can do? To each movement enacting evil, humanity loses a little. Condemning alone won't solve the evil alone. Something has described as evil when it severely violates a moral standard by which that thing is judged. In relating to primitive existence, is it despair? I have a hard time accepting humans because of their tendency to choose extreme violence when it's not needed. We're the only species on the planet that would hang a child, as opposed to bears who just eat their cubs so they can mate with the mother. Let me start that again.
Nice.
We're the only species on the planet that would hang a child, as opposed to bears that just eat their cubs so they can mate with the mother. What is responsibility? Who invented good or evil? Neither good nor evil have faces to their figure. They never do. Funny taste from evil. The funny thing is when you look back when it has happened to you, thoughts exporting ideas, souls intertwined, bad tastes last a lifetime, demons apply onto trauma. Can't always paint with new age colours, eroding moral clarity. To call something evil is an invoked judgment. Declaring it evil, one is welcoming other judgment to invoke their thoughts on what is evil. Battling around disorder, trauma, sociopathy, preferring to systems rather than souls. Ugly in a multitude of ways. Hard to make a choice on the moral road. Mapping out, complex. To excise evil from our conversations is to deny evil as a fundamental part of our human existence. Narrative wanted. Smiling abuser. Failed to act. I don't think evil is chaos. In the chaos could be anything. Arendt's banality of evil captured. The horror of evil might even be in the mundane, the routine of or going through cultural norms. Evil isn't always banal. At times it's ecstatic, wild, Dionysian tearing of the sacred wall, so engrossing, destroying in order to mock humiliation, an inversion to good, merely not an ignorance as a choice. Abandon the world, not under the veil of hedonism, painful to mature. The advert of similarity, tempting to sin, looking at Morton. The advert of similarity, tempting to sin, looking at normal. Sometimes it hides behind a symbol of strength, failing to realise that symbols are easy to break, like glass. Fighting for freedom like a saint trying to get into heaven. Strange to think of something outside deciding. In truth be told, more likely an influence. Moments of hostility, allowing frustration to hit hard. Resentment is so strong in the addictive notion through the motion of flowing through one's body. The freedom heaven provides is unforeseen. I'd stop for a sec. And anything they do is just a sleight of hands like a magician to cover up what's empty inside. Throughout the epics and epochs, I wouldn't stop feeling. I wonder what the answers are to grab her attention, as attention is purest gift to another. In constant self-awareness, I'm in constant silent wonderings of what could have been better in the potential, and the stanzas are full of answers. Even getting your act together just means there's still more and one isn't leaving marks behind. Unable to keep it myself. Demons feed off from trauma. When someone dies and all they leave behind is nothing but poetry, that's in hope to stain you. In death, I mourn about anyone who hasn't left thy mark on. At the end of the day, the smoke settles. It's hardly a revelation to know anyone could have been better, opening the better way to move forward. In the meantime, I'm battling intellectual mastery and building spiritual wells inside. Everything is normal. Everything normal is wanting to be something better. Mind walking through the interiors, the silence between lines spoken, a rhythm of care, knowing each breath intimately, abiding by what's hidden, speaking in gesture, and the world responds. Everything is a thread of feelings, strengthening my mind by enlarging the conscious. Where the flesh mimics poetry, that won't be solely addictive. There will be another side where the story ends. In the meantime, learning various things, like the variation of being quiet. The world is telling a story of who is supposed to be ruling the world. I become farther from others, and I'm not complaining. I'm not alone. I get it. If humanity would light up the room with pain, the world would explode. I feel that tension inside, and there is still way where we can benefit. At first, it's generally just trying to be a good role model. It's okay if one can tell if the door opens and closes. Still, there has to be a better way. No one is supposed to be carrying grief. I'm coming home late tonight. I age and I still remember all the wrong that I've done and I'm wanting a nap. Trying to keep denying the fucking devil. I'm going to call her, let her know I'm coming late tonight. I want to prolong the prayer if there has to be a better way. And if it wasn't that way, I'd be spending every moment, all my moments, glancing over to her, gold on her rings, missing hours go by, listening to every word she speaks. Once was a stranger, a bluebird landing on open palms. Tell me about a better way. Caring for one another isn't a radical revolution, just call it morality. It remains a mystery how a woman falls in love. The beauty pearl develops the ugly bastard, if not a riot starts. As the poetry is living abandoned, her smile up, demon hose down, close-fisted hand punching out the husband's petty complaints because the fuck he says. I told the devil, you can catch me if you can, get a new case. Can no longer tickle me pink. Spit at your therapist, she doesn't care about your heart anyway. When I was young, my intent was attention and became bored of it in the process. I committed that crime. At the end of it all, no one wants to be remembered in their death. So what the fuck happened to you? I knew I could do better. Telling the truth is betrayal amongst an allegation. Telling the truth is betrayal amongst an allegation amongst peers who can't do any right. It's in my deep convictions that safety isn't because of the cease of my freedom, and in redemption I pay the price. Far more reaching, singing my ideas by setting a good example than through force of arms. I came and passed that narrow path and living my life worthy of remembering every single detail and seeing that wholly inside that very few men get to experience, let alone come close to, will utterly shift one's very core like a volcano, destroying the way one lives prior. Forget about the prayers before. My God has changed. No longer in need of heroes, I need good ideas. Otherwise her girlfriends can chin check me. That's it. I'm just reading sort of like, I like to read like biographies. Like I'm reading sort of political biographies. I like to read about, I actually read Arnold Schwarzenegger, if you can believe it, which is crazy. Like just his
entire life or the second part of his life?
Oh, 3 parts. So the bodybuilding, the sport, the bodybuilding, then the acting, then the politics, and all that kind of stuff. I like to read sporting greats, like people that overcome adversity. Just I can't think of anyone offhand, but just like biographies.
Yeah, so political and sporting.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Just people that are overcoming, shortcomings and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, nice.
And sometimes just a lot of political thrillers I like. Yeah, they're probably my favourite things.
Go-tos.
Yeah.
What is it about political thrillers?
I don't know, just the complexity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like I like sort of twists and turns in the books that I read, and sort of not a conventional linear path of a story telling, when characters have interesting arcs where they don't have redemption at the end and they're unsettled at the end of the movie or the book is what I enjoy. So yeah.
Nice. Cool bangs. You know what? That might be...
It's the individual right to go past happiness and find pure contentment in the innocence that lives within grace, a moral dimension, where the second renaissance is birthed with the private places internally, the entirety of becoming better, improved, or that holy click inside that is going to permit each action I do as a lengthy, longing prayer. I'm fascinated that fate allows it. As my peers are caught in validation, accepting all things that are lacking, earthly, dull and local, like the ideal figure they're running from. Failing to accept it is up to them to step forward in a different direction. They have never heard the choir of angels which has not left my eardrums. My shoulders drop to each melody in awe and have never noticed the flesh of a woman ever since. So I understand anyone plunging into some further, right or wrong, in hopes to discover something further, at least that worldly contentment where they could relax and not have been found out. I will not tell your secrets. Don't be so impressionable. I found on my own, 2 feet on my own. It is not my job to change one human at a time. Though I'll always be there for acts of service, acts of efforts to understand, love without lust, friendship, walking side by side, never behind and never ahead. Always knew one could never completely give herself to another, in a way thieving the self from oneself. It would invoke a sinful sensation when following on promises, one knowing it won't be ideal. Settling for has never provided fruit. Tragedy outweighs romance novels. God dwells in the manner of every soul, those before it, but choose another. Something about self-sanctifying grace. It's never love in the reality others had chosen that produces so much mass mundane. Don't worry about those morals. Something dehumanising of never committing to oneself and promising self to another that is never meant to be. Overbearing emotions that could be felt at any moment. Utter violence. A native pastoral receptivity, not as passive resignation, in a fierce openness, the courageousness, vulnerability that offers the soul as a ground where the divine might take root. The soul isn't for outside conquer, not belonging to poets. The soul is to behold. A different type of strength, enduring that one bears, hunger for affliction and gravity. One might callings for attention, stripped of will, a gaze that does not grasp but waits, listens and receives. In more tender formations, the soul as a form of shapes itself that needs, like water, poured into a vessel, hoping to fill out the divine. A soul marked in inclination towards interiority. It isn't mere introspection. A spiritual architecture that draws the world inward as something more than essential. The soul The soul knows intuitively what is truth, not seizing that truth, mysteriously sharing, not in dominating ways, but silent presence in progress, slowly becoming in front of creatures of God. I'm guilty of not hearing that justice. I was blind by the romanticisation. The answer became prolonged at the capacity to see how much that soul can change me for the better. The receptivity costs maturing into standard into the next soul that equals. A kind of martyrdom.
Okay.
Okay, I can keep going.
You sure? Yeah.
Do not wait after crucifixion, where the people around become humble after you have dismissed them. As empathy leaving you to live in dissolution as someone prone to self-harm. Transparency of holy. Metaphysically severity sought to seek a pathway to God, becoming a medium of the eternal, the saint version of Plath, who Sylvia was the voice of traditional birthing and unfulfilled lifestyle. More incarnational of that ideal chosen for freely, suffered freely, fulfilled ever so freely. That soul so narrow to define or express. I'll start again. That soul so narrow to define or to express in everyday language, it will take more than genius to merely recognise that soul. Though she knows ideas as are intellectual productions, it's a version of pulling back, in not wanting to make things all too easy for the other. There is no logical connection between beauty around you to what one voluntarily does by choice to be around certain beauty. The certain beauty drops the veil on purpose. Maybe not seems fair at first reaction or face value, but for fuck's sake, I may be a romantic at fault about it, but it's worth it to trudge it. Essence is purely everywhere, and it's after choice. Mediations on the musings is incurring something more than expanding the ways to encompass. It's easy to It's easy to sentimentalize it all. It's a guard or a curse to throw out to distract, where I wouldn't fully grasp in understanding, and everything remains a mystery. Like where I go in daily life in another prison yard. Or one can spend eternity drawing the stars of the sky and never see the constellations. Measuring the amount of emotions one can feel in sensations isn't an option. I'll try, with a cross on my belly. It just seems like I've lost already. Life is hard. Life is harsh. Listening to you, others seem so phony. Bitch, please. Like ether. Your words make my soul burn. Sappho, Dickinson, Plath, Sexton, Szymborska, Akhmatova, Ugai, Liming Ho, Gorman and Cower. North, south, east, west. There is no best outside of her presence. I got mine. I hope you've got yourself a heart. And when it comes to the poetry, at least I'm rewarded with taking a stanza line. Objective desire or mother to anything holy, like what is she is to Queen. I'll be wishing to be immortalised in pictures. Wishing heaven is only an arm's length. Would have packed my bags and left already, quicker than a flash. And the devil does isn't a worry. But others allowing themselves to be under the influence is tearing my heart apart. On my own 2 feet, cannot hold their hands. Craziness looking back when the drama settles and thawed from the addictive notions. They're the same empty faces with painted smiles.
You pause.